Hey everybody, Barry here again. Why do I have a ruler in my hand, you wonder? I actually don't know. I just picked it up while I was cleaning up and haven't put it down yet. I'm going to start this video with some footage from last week. It was an extended version of last week's video, and it was just far too long, so I'm going to put it in here. And it has to do with the cam gear. Let's check that out. You know, I really need to check something out. I just found a second chain that I have, and it came out of this engine. This chain here came out of the 5.3 that I scrapped. So I want to see if this chain measures out to the same as this chain. If either one of them is tighter, then, you know, that'd be really cool. I expect this chain to be worn more than the other one because this was the engine that had DOD lifters all messed up, the bearings were cooked, the oil looked disgusting. So this is just a little experiment that I haven't done before. That was the sound of me dropping the cam gear. So here's the chain that I just installed on the engine and don't really like the look of. Here is the chain that came out. I'm going to put them in the exact same orientation like that. This one here came out of that engine originally. Okay, here we go. So it's in the exact same orientation. Stop swinging. Now, I don't think this is a very scientific method of checking to see if the chain is stretched. But what do I see? This outside one is potentially longer. Let's go with the exact same. Yeah, they're probably exactly the same. One thing I do see is that this outside chain has thicker links, so that's kind of neat. So this right here is about the best angle that I'm going to get. I've got the links, the top links exactly the same. So let me just hold that right there. So you can see that the outside chain may or may not be a little bit longer. It's very difficult to tell, near impossible. But one thing I do like to see is the inner link in here. You see the two inside ones seem to be thicker than the inside links on this chain. Look how thick the links on this chain are on the inside versus the left one there. That seems to be quite a bit thicker. So yeah, what do I see? What do I think about that? I don't know if the chain is longer or not, but I think I will use this outside chain. I don't know. I don't like seeing that much slack. I don't like being able to rotate the cam a couple of degrees because then that turns the cam timing a couple of degrees advanced or retarded. Is it a thing? I don't know. Maybe. I'm gonna go out in the container and see if I have any parts in totes that I can find. And if I have to put 5 sets of chains together to find the best one, I will. One of the best parts about not throwing anything away, like nothing, is I just found more cam gears. I may do some measuring across teeth to see if the gears are worn. Oh look, more chains. Sick. That looks good. See if the gears are worn or anything, and that way I can pick out the best cam gear, because I do have a set of calipers, and the cam gear with the least amount of wear, and then pick out the chain that seems to be the best. That one's actually very clean. And, well, pick out the best used stuff I have anyway. Ah! More stuff! That's funny. Back in the day, I had to buy a new 1X cam gear and timing kit because I thought I didn't have any, and here I have 3. These are supposed to only come into LS2 engines with the 1X front cam gear, but a load of the trucks had them. So if you ever want to change over a Gen 4 to Gen 3 electronics, it's actually quite easy. And if anybody needs one of those cam gears, just let me know and I'll get one to you. Well, there's no shortage of junk anyway. I think I'll do some measuring. Did a little bit of measurements, and this is what I found. 4 cam gears, 4 different engines, all came out to 4.990 across the inside of this, between these 2 teeth and between these 2 teeth right here. So inside of right there to inside of right there, 4.990. So we don't have any excessive wear. These are 4 chains. The one I just installed, the DOD chain, and 2 that I just brought out of a container. They're all on the same link, and you can see here, if we get a good look at this, it seems like chain number 3 is much shorter than the rest. You may be able to see it in the camera, you should be able to. So I'm going to use that chain. Now, it may be negligible, it may be absolutely nothing, but I'm going to use it. Along with the gear that I already lubed up and cleaned because, well, they're all the same anyway. Well, all bolted on. I don't know if it seems any different. I don't think it does. I think it would have to be drastic difference in order to make this, you know, tighter. Haven't looked for a tensioner thing yet. Maybe I won't. Who knows? I've put a bunch of these engines together and never actually paid attention to how tight the chain was. So maybe I should just keep not paying attention to things. But that wouldn't make me a very good engine builder. And I'm trying to get better. So those are things you gotta do sometimes. Sometimes you gotta get nervous in order to get better. So what do you think? Give me some input, because this kind of terrifies me a little bit. That cam gear, that chain is quite loose. I don't know. A lot of people on a short that I posted said run it. Nobody said don't run it. So it seems to be 100% positive feedback. But it's one of those things where I looked, I saw, and now I'm scared. But I'm probably just gonna run it anyway. But for today, we've got to plug these holes here with something. With what, I wonder? New lifters? As he's suggested right here, should always be installed. But then it doesn't say must always, it says should. So is it a suggestion or directions? I think, you know what I think? If anybody knows me, they know what I think. I think I put a bunch of used lifters in some transmission fluid, and now we're going to dump them out and dump them in. I haven't even opened this yet, but I'm not going to try to pour them out. Let's just see if I can open a blood vessel or something here with this when it slips. It's always good when you're using a razor sharp item such as a razor. You don't use all the safety precautions. But this time it's successful. Why, you ask, did I put lifters in transmission fluid? Some old guy told me to once. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's see what the hype is about this. I suppose the science behind it is transmission fluid has conditioners or cleaners in it. Obviously it's lubricating, and it's thinner than engine oil. It's thinner than Lucas oil, at least. Oh, Lucas assembly oil. Ah, yes, I said it correctly. And I suppose it can get into the lifters inside, clean out any old gunk in there, maybe lubricate the lifter plates inside, the little spring and the ball and all that. My arm is just right in the middle of this shot, isn't it? And just sort of loosen them up, because Chevs have a tendency to stick lifters for whatever reason. That's something I'd like to know the science behind, is why does every Chev truck have that lifter tat 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 tat? I mean, Dodge does too, but they just tend to spit cams out of them. But we're not talking about Dodges right now. Well, they look, yeah, they definitely do look. there seems to be no extra pieces down in the bottom of the oil. And the oil is actually, the transmission fluid is actually quite dirty. So, and I didn't really wipe them off or anything before I put them in there, so most of that is going to be oil that was on the outside of the lifters. But let's just 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay, so, oh yeah, man, that's nasty. That is nasty. Let's see if we can get an actual shot of that. Hopefully this isn't too washed out or anything here, so we can see it sensibly. Yeah, it's pretty red looking. But when you look in the bottom of the bottle here, you're gonna see it's not quite as red as it looks. Oh boy, that is some nasty. That is some quite nasty. Look at all that engine. If there's one thing you don't want in your transmission fluid, it's engine. Gross. So with the lifters out, I'm going to wipe them down. And then I need 4 lifter buckets. Perfect. Yeah, I should be able to get 4 half decent ones out of that. I did a little bit of switching, a little bit of cleaning, but I have it. I got it. I have 4 lifter buckets. And if you don't know offhand, these are Gen 3 lifter buckets or non-DOD lifter buckets that will work in the new style engine because it has the notch cut out. So that's a little bit of a tip. The early Gen 3s are flat on both sides and won't work in a new engine. I only found one set of buckets that I didn't really like, that they were kind of opened up a little bit and the lifter didn't fall out, but it was really easy to push in. I like ones that when you pop them in, you really got to work to get that lifter in there. Like this. Like you gotta work to get it back out. So that's what I like to see. I've had ones before that as I was putting the lifters down in the engine, all 4 lifters fell out of the tray. And that's well worn. And according to Richard Oldner's video, he's proved that that blows up engines, or at least tears up cams and lifters, which in the long run will blow up engines. I do have 1, 2, and 3/4 of engines worth of lifter buckets left. It's kind of a funny way to put it, isn't it? And then here are some DOD lifters that will go directly to the underworld because that's where they belong. I'm going to clean these up better. I just wanted to clean out the spots where the lifters sit in and then test them before I waste my time cleaning up a big load of them. So I'm going to spray some more of this stuff. Spray 9, grease off. It's good gear actually. So just kind of spray some more of that on there. Spray some down inside there. For some reason there's white milky corrosion. Come on, spray down inside of it. So I'll clean it out real well with some more brake cleaner. And then we're installing these bad boys. I wasn't messing with you when I said I'm going to wipe them off and install them. I was actually serious. Be upset. New lifters, of course, is a good idea. It's not a bad idea at all. I can't afford new lifters, so I'm just going to put old ones in and hope that, with a little bit of time, they just kind of loosen up. And then they work well. We'll see. I'm just going to put a little bit of Lucas on here so that they don't be dry on the first few rotations. Probably should have put a rag in under this so it doesn't just drip all over the bench. Now, there we go. All right. Again, maybe a waste of oil. Maybe a waste of this Lucas stuff, but I'd much rather it be over lubricated, if that's a term, than go in there dry. And I accidentally do a 6,000 or 7,000 RPM cold start with no tune in it and probably 3 quarts of oil low, because sometimes those things happen, and it's always nice to have a bit of extra oil in there, just in case, you know, in case my foot slips or Cass is there and she tells me to floor it. These things happen sometimes. Because if Cass tells me to floor it, yeah, no second thoughts. That's what happened when I blew up the Cadillac after I put the turbo on it. We were going up a hill, passing a car, and it was the first time I'd had it on the highway after I put the turbo on it. And she was like, "This guy's driving really slow. Yeah, like, floor it, pass him." I was like, "Alrighty then. Ask and you shall receive." And by the time we got to the top of the hill, it had a pretty healthy knock in it. And when I got home, when I took the engine apart, 2 pistons were broken. And we drove it for like 3 days with cracked ring lands and the top missing off a couple pistons. All right, well, time to make a little bit of a mess, I suppose. Not hard to do. Oh no, I'm getting oil on the head gasket surface. That's annoying. Okay, down on the lifters, squeeze a bit down here in the bores. What a mess I got made. What a state. If there's any reason to not use this stuff, it's that it gets everywhere and it stays everywhere. That can be an annoyance. But then a good reason is that it gets everywhere and it stays everywhere. You gotta take the good with the bad, even when they're the exact same thing. Now, try to do this without getting it all over my cylinder pores. Man, this stuff is greasy. But that's just not gonna work, is it? I want to get it everywhere. Get it everywhere. Here we go. Man, it just works so well. Wow. Usually I gotta fight with them. They don't go in sensibly. I'm gonna leave these loose so I don't forget to bolt them down later. Now, the only bad that can happen is if I knock over these trays and then like damage a lifter or something. That would be wonderful. I should have done it this way from the beginning. I've got a cardboard box put it under the engine so that it doesn't just drip this all over the floor. Because like, I don't mind making a mess, but it's nice if I don't make a huge state. This is gonna have like 180 pounds of oil pressure at startup. I've still got to do some work on the oil pump yet. Gotta shim it and port it, all that fun stuff. I did that on the rat rod engine and I got like almost 100 pounds oil pressure at wide open throttles, so I'm definitely doing that again. It's got like 50 pounds at idle, so I'm quite excited about that. I can't even wipe this stuff off, it just strings out. It's crazy. Mint. I've had an awful time trying to figure out the torque spec on these little tiny bolts. These little bolts right here. And according to the internet is 106 inch-pounds. Now I don't have a torque wrench that'll do 106 inch-pounds, so I figure this will suffice. Just kidding. Click, click. And click, click. Click, click. Click, click. Torque to spec. More progress! How cool is that? I'm actually going to end the video here. And it seems like I haven't done actually a lot. But as I've said in the last video, I'm doing some renovation stuff at home and it's taken up 93% of my time. And the other 3 or 7%. And the other 7% is, you know, my wife and kids. So I have 0.00% of time to put into this thing. My math checks out, guarantee it. So a little bit of progress here, a little bit of progress there. I'm gonna film it, and I'm gonna have a video out every week. If there will be a delay in video, I will let you guys know. And you know, I wanna keep the ball rolling, but for the next few weeks, it's gonna be a little bit slower. But hey, progress is progress, and it will be an engine very soon. There's actually, I was gonna say there's nothing stopping me from bolting the heads on. Yeah, I can't put pistons up through. So I guess the next step is probably going to be pistons or something like that anyway. But we'll find out. So thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks my YouTube members, patrons, and subscribers. If you want to check out my Patreon, it's patreon.com/stationroadratrods. My YouTube members link is down here. And thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.